Okay, well, here we are, about the jerk. The jerk is coming to dinner, and you're going to meet the jerk, but first, I'll give you a little bit on the the last 12 months in about 5 quotes. And, you know, about a year ago, this dialogue happened between our CEO and one of my colleagues about ChatGPT. We thought it was going to be pretty big at that time. And you know, today, Forrester's metric is that they're saying it's going to be about this big. The blank iPhone, no iPhone apps on that. And you know what happened next. And we saw, you know, over the course of a year, it going from being an interesting tool with kind of okay results to changing the face of photography, and then 6 months later, something like film. And not just any film, drone photography with the lensing of a drone mimicked and, you know, just giving us all of that fidelity that's completely unexpected and typically done by huge teams of people. This is really a refrain of this A16Z quote, you know, that software will eat the world. But I think right now we can see quite clearly that it's being digested. You know, we're going from GUIs to AI. And for a lot of people, this is an exciting time, but it's also a little scary, you know. This is an actual text dialogue I had with an agency creative about a photo retoucher who realized that her job was no longer. So who's coming to dinner? I mentioned it was the jerk. And the jerk is actually the physics term for the acceleration of acceleration. And isn't that exactly what we're experiencing right now? So if the acceleration of acceleration is coming to dinner, what's for dinner? Well, there's a few things that we've heard from people over the course of the past year, questions that we've been asked as an agency. Questions like this. This is an interesting question, isn't it? How many images does the global ad industry create? I can tell you the answer afterwards if you like, but that's an interesting question. That's a scary question. And this is a kind of a hurtful comment, but you know, it's relevant, right? Like, can you imagine being a creative agency right now, seeing tools like Copilot and so forth on the table? And of course, you have conversations with your friends and your colleagues over the course of dinner, and they say things like this. You know, I can ask ChatGPT, what's the best Garmin watch for me and my behavior? And you can get that without any marketing BS. You just get the straight features. And so there's this potential for people to entirely skip the internet, to skip marketing and get to this information. And so really what I propose is that what's for dinner is the current economics of advertising. And the jerk also dines not just on what we do, but on the markets. And we can see, you know, in the past year that the largest networked agencies experienced their worst year since 2020. Meanwhile, we see these curves go up, and that's because of an investment in not just ad spend, and also, of course, these guys, you've heard of them, but the market as a whole is having an incredible boom. And the jerk is also dining in culture, from the birth of new types of creatives, the OmniStar, accelerating the transformation of fame and influence, and creating the ability to be in all markets and all formats at all times. And little Michaela is a great example from BMW. To predictive fashion, where we're accelerating trend discovery in fashion, and folks like Adidas are hard at work here. And then also things like the reach of fame, people like YouTubers creating virtual doubles so that they can also be in all markets and all formats at all times. And sales agents, these are deep fakes of Chinese influencers that exist across their e-commerce platforms. That's a bit better, isn't it? And then, of course, accelerating interactivity. The mobile game of the year, all of the NPCs were powered by large language models. So that's quite a thing. And while many fear the acceleration, many more are embracing it, like a new type of camera. And we're really celebrating those folks, both the photographers on our team and the new photographers that we're bringing together as part of Artist.Monks. people that are embracing this change and see AI as a new type of camera, and we've published some of their work in this book, Head of the Lens. And right around the bend is not the first AI film festival, but the second one. So our partners, Runway ML, are hosting this very, very soon. So that's another thing that the acceleration of acceleration brings. And really, so the jerk really waits for no one, and let alone marketers. So back over to dinner. Here's how I learned to love the jerk and to be a diner and not the dinner. So when you start a dinner party, you serve an appetizer to stimulate the conversation. Here's a little bit of it. One of the things that we like to talk about first is change readiness. Preparing, really, the organization for AI adoption is not the starting point. It's preparing the organization for the jerk. It's a new pace, right? But often these conversations start with how can I get P&L impact, like right away? How do I workflow my organization? How do I adopt these tools? And how do I mitigate these risks? These are all super important questions. But it's about the management of that change and leading your people through it that makes that change stick. So it's not changing technology that's the hard part. Let's not underestimate it. These are interesting times to be an integrator. But change resistance is, from our people, is often the real blocker. McKinsey puts the failure rate at something like 70%, and that's usually because it's a culture of change resistance. And so it's our jobs to make sure our people are agents and that they have the right incentives, not just pay packages, but that the culture itself is one that's embracing of change. These are really, really important things to tackle. So building change readiness, that's really the appetizer, and that's what we go for first. For the first course of dinner is serving up content efficiency. This is the first step of any organization, and for years we've had incredible data fidelity. We know our customers like never before, and we can serve our media with incredible precision when and where people are most receptive. And for years, we've been avoiding the workflowing of the creation of creative content. Why? Well, content has just been too expensive. Whoops, that's backwards. But we're solving that today, working with our marketers, our marketing customers, helping to re-workflow their creative organizations, removing steps, removing air gaps, and providing orchestration of these new tools. So by simplifying, by bringing your people along, and by connecting the steps, we're accelerating the supply chain and avoiding a situation where you have people picking out tools from this list, for example, and really getting incredibly squishy gains along the way. So marketers can deliver content like this, with variation like this, and it scales across all kinds of categories, using generative AI tools, powered by workflows, and really we call this the ability to automate, to accelerate. And this is the first step for any organization. Second course. We serve up effectiveness. This is the second step. Once you have this efficiency layer, you can start looking at things like this, finding real customer insight at really incredible resolution. This is a tool that you're getting a sneak peek of here. We're launching this next week at NVIDIA's GTC. It's called Persona.Flow. It uses a large language model and a RAG system so that you can take your customer profiles and speak to them directly. This really collapses the distance between the business and the consumer and is unlocking really interesting things where anybody within the organization, not just your head of insights, can speak to their customers. And from that, be able to test creative and make better decisions. And so you can really start to get closer to this original promise of digital marketing, which was this idea of a unique piece of content for each and every customer. And through that, you build a flywheel where that localization, that personalization, that respecting of diversity of your customer starts to drive additional results. So this combination of an insights workflow through something like persona flow, this content and media workflow, this is what gets you that flywheel effect. And for years, we've been trying to optimize both our media spend and our creative process. And instead, this unlocks an opportunity to start maximizing instead, creating a maximum amount of content to reach a maximum number of customers that you might ordinarily have ignored. And this creates this uptick in conversion. That is the end of the second course. For our third course, we serve up an extended flywheel. So other visually intense workflows and data sources are brought into these workflows. It doesn't stop at marketing. You can bring in sales data from Salesforce, for example. You can pipe it through your content creation, and from that you get cool results as well. Through product design. Product design has often been very divorced from marketing, where a product design team creates a new product, they take a great interest and level of refinement in the tiny little details, and then the marketers go off and do all the photography and their clever stuff. Well, by digitizing product design and integrating it into marketing, you can create thousands more images per SKU, and again, do that variation for localization and hyper-personalization. And that's only possible if you start at the beginning of the product design process. This is actually the HP Captus digital scanner, which scans and brings in high-fidelity fabric swatch imagery and services a large chunk of the fashion and design world. We also can touch into other sources like that allow us to do trend seeking, picking up what's happening in culture and bringing that into our workflows, creating new data lakes and allowing us to start to develop new surfaces for our customers. And the panel earlier was talking about this being the beginning and us not really knowing what may come next. And I think really for interactivity, this is especially true. The interactive paradigms of today, which have just been shifted to going back to a prompt box, are going to shift yet again and yet again. And by freeing up through efficiency and effectiveness, we free up investment possibilities into new surfaces. And those surfaces don't have to be digital ones. They can be in store, and they can touch packaging as well. And these are all examples of places where we're working with our customers on those external to marketing workflows. Now, workflows are an incredible thing. They bring down learning, they bring down costs. They create efficiencies, and this concept of the learning curve is one that I'm pretty obsessed with right now. There's sort of two ways to create innovation within an organization. You've got this constant investment and optimization, learning through doing. Like you can see with the Model T Ford, they brought down that cost dramatically over the space of a very, very short period of time. And then there's learning through innovation, which is that new surface design. Where you can create real step change within the organization. So building more workflows and less manual work, this is how we create compounding advantages. Now the last sticky course. Now the network ad industry is a world in which time equals money, where you bill for people at a percentage over the course of the year, and you try to do that as many hours as possible. And with these tools where we can work faster and cheaper and we can create more content at less cost, you can be sure that they're going to fight this. It's a perverse incentive, really, when you think about it, that you bill for the hour. So the incentive is to take your time at this, said every agency ever. So efficiency is counterproductive. It hits the P&L. and it will be resisted, and you'll see this, and you're seeing it already, really. The jerk is great news for clients. It's bad news for the current network economics. And that's because of the almighty time-based billing model, where the network agencies are incentivized to run an inefficient billing model. They're incentivized to control and hinder access to data, to control access to media through scaled discounts. But we're seeing this getting disintermediated already with the platforms doing what they're doing. And wherever possible, there's this desire to drive all creation through a laborious pitch model. So I'm going to speculate a little bit here, go out on a limb, but I think there are other models, and there are places we can go as creative agencies to look at new ways to provide value to our clients and to share some of the bounty that these opportunities provide. We probably won't choose billing codes. This is sort of tantamount to unionization. If there's one thing that agency owners are is independent and profit motivated, and there's really not enough consolidation in the industry anyway for something to like that to work. And we'll probably not do outcomes-based billing either. It's a tricky thing due to client-agency alignment issues, already pretty thin margins, and the risk that would be the burden to agency owners. Some agencies have tried this, but typically those agencies are smaller, headed by really strong independent leaders, so they tend not to be able to scale well. But we believe that SLAs and technology are really the way forward, where agencies can create a platform model and deliver in that way. So that was dessert. It's no small task. It's the changing of the commercial model, but I really believe we're going to see this take place over the next 18 months. We'd like to have a really great dinner party in 2024 and make the acceleration of acceleration a great dinner companion. So I think that putting our minds to work on the things that we apply to the menu will get us there, and these are those things. Thank you.